Why would you want to play an MMO solo? I get asked this all the time, and the truth is, a lot of us do end up spending most of our time playing our MMOs by ourselves. We log into these massively multiplayer worlds and then do solo activities like questing, grinding, or farming out some rare cosmetic. And a lot of us spend very little time doing the group activities in MMOs, like raiding. So why play an MMO? I think it's because it gives us the option to scratch that multiplayer itch if and when we want to. But most importantly, we love the idea of a never-ending RPG, of developing a character over months and years as a story constantly unfolds ahead of us. Year after year, new stories, quests, and abilities are added, and that never-ending nature of an MMORPG is truly unique to the genre. The massively multiplayer part of the MMO is great, but the fact that all of that work that we put into that character isn't discarded after a week or two, like in a single-player game, is at least as important. So in this video, let's talk about which MMOs do the best job of providing endless, high-quality content for the solo player. Whether they are the player that doesn't have friends to play with, or the player who does have friends, but those friends are always way behind or way ahead of them, or in a completely different game. Here's my updated list in no particular order. World of Warcraft Classic. The more MMOs that get released with over-monetization and tiny walled-off zones, the more I miss the classics. Back before WoW was selling $90 mounts and level skips that came with a full set of gear, before WoW saw bots making money selling in-game gold, and then decided they wanted a piece of that pie, so they started selling the gold in the cash shop in-game themselves. Before all of that, there was Classic WoW, and fortunately for us, you can still play Classic WoW today. If you've never experienced where it all started, it's one you've got to at least try. Everyone that played the original version of WoW can tell you that there's just something unique about it. Something that modern MMOs have either been too greedy or too afraid to replicate. As a result, it's an amazing experience you won't get anywhere else. Yeah, there's a bit of content in this game that you won't be able to do solo, but there is far, far more that you can do solo. And none of the group content is required. You don't have to do any of that to quest your way up to max level or to get all sorts of great gear and cosmetics. Unlike more modern games, this one doesn't have a group finder, so this is where solo players are going to struggle. It's going to be harder to find groups for dungeons and raids without summoning the extrovert hidden within yourself to talk to people in chat. If you do play through this one, take it slow and enjoy the journey. WoW Classic goes through waves of popularity as it starts new versions and spin-offs of it, similar to how any MMO sees a rush of popularity during expansions. Classic WoW is the purest form of WoW, and where it all began. And it's the last version of the game where all of the zones are still relevant and where the world still feels massive. Back when I was a kid, I used to love Ninja Turtles. I had this little pizza shooting turtle tank that I thought was the coolest thing ever. If you miss those days, I've got good news. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are coming to this game, August 21st to November 21st. Just log in for 7 days to unlock Michelangelo, my favorite turtle. If he had pizza, he was happy, just like me. He'll taunt enemies with trash talk and then dodge their attacks. After that, you'll be able to fuse Donatello, an amazing support who heals the team and reduces cooldowns. Leonardo, Raphael, April, and Shredder can also be earned through limited time events. And you can challenge Shredder in the event dungeon to earn the exclusive Chronophage gear set. So if you haven't started playing yet, then what are you waiting for? Click my link in the description or scan my QR code to get amazing bonuses available only via my link. If you use my link, you'll immediately get a huge starter pack with Epic Champion Tayrel from the High Elves faction. You'll get another starter pack after reaching level 15 with Epic Rector Drath. On top of that, players can choose from one of 5 promo codes to start their game with an amazing legendary hero. You can use code Treehugger to get Green Warden Rourke, code Get Alice for Alice the Wanderer, code Desert Queen for Tinaharik, code Demon Slayer for Thalin Foulbeard, and code Monkey King for Sun Wukong. Personally, I would definitely pick Sun Wukong Monkey King due to his double S tier ranking, unique self-revive passive, and he's amazing at PvE content like Doom Tower. Shout out to Raid for sponsoring this segment. Thanks for listening. Let's get back to the video. If you somehow still haven't given WoW Classic a try, definitely consider this one, if for no other reason than to see what brought the MMO genre into the mainstream. Final Fantasy XIV. Have you ever found yourself saying, I wish this game had way more dialogue boxes? Then Final Fantasy XIV might be the game for you. Final Fantasy XIV is what many refer to as an RPG MMO. The story absolutely comes first, and there is a lot of it. Every bit of content in this game is unlocked as part of the story. If you want to do a dungeon, you've got to follow the story. If you want to do a trial, same thing, you've got to do more of the story. This game gets a massive new expansion every other year with massive patches in between, so it's always a good time to jump in. In Final Fantasy XIV, you always know what you need to do next. It's always up in the top left corner of the screen, pointing the way to your next destination. And the answer is always, in part or in whole, the main story quest. There's hundreds of hours of content there alone, and that's before you get into all of the optional stuff, like side quests or cosmetic and mount farming, which Final Fantasy does better than just about any other MMO out there. All the best cosmetics and all the best mounts are earned in-game. I mention that because this alone adds so much to the solo experience, as you have so many mounts and cosmetics you can work your way towards. Now, it's worth noting that since dungeons and trials are part of the story, even a solo player will have to do those. Fortunately, the game makes this process incredibly painless, as it automatically creates a group for you to do the content with. And in case you're nervous about playing with other players, the Final Fantasy community is without a doubt one of the nicest of any MMO, as the developers of this MMO are actually banning the toxic players. It's a simple thing, but it makes a massive difference. It creates a really unique vibe in the MMO landscape that you kind of have to experience to believe. Now, if the idea of doing dungeons with the nice players is still something you'd rather avoid, Final Fantasy XIV also has this thing called a trust system that lets you queue into group content with a group of NPCs, allowing you to avoid nearly all human interaction in your MMO, if you so desire. So if you ever find yourself in the mood for one amazing decade-long story with a fantastic cast of characters, an unforgettable score, and some of the most epic cutscenes in any game ever, check out Final Fantasy XIV. This is an MMO that treats its players well, and as a result, it's become one of the most popular MMOs out there. If you ever find yourself having the itch to play as a cat, an alligator, or a drunk Nord, then Elder Scrolls Online might be the MMO for you. In Elder Scrolls Online, you can go to any zone in any order, as each zone's story is a compartmentalized experience. This makes the game something that you can bite off piecemeal. You can play it for a week, complete a zone, and get an entire story out of it, and then take a break for a while, come back, and bite off a different zone. ESO is a theme park MMO, which means you've got a ton of different options that you can choose from every time you sign in. You can do quests, delves, dungeons, trials, and so much more. While the group content offers a lot of great experiences and amazing gear, you are by no means required to engage with any of it. There are no important quests or main story progression locked behind any of this group content. You can stick to the solo questing activities exclusively if you so desire. If you want to make friends, that's easy too, as ESO lets you join 5 guilds at a time so that you can be in a specific guild for each type of activity, whether it's dungeons, roleplay, PvP, or trading. ESO's questing is very easy. In fact, I would say it's too easy. So you'll be enjoying the questing in this game much more for the story and the lore rather than engaging combat. And for you Elder Scrolls fans out there, ESO has added more lore to the Elder Scrolls franchise than any other Scrolls title before it. Way more. And it's a lot easier to soak up that lore as a solo player. You can go as slow as you want to and listen to every line of dialogue from all the voice-acted characters, and you can stop and read every lore note found along the way. You can usually pick up the base game for around $20, less if it's on sale, and if you enjoy it, you can spring for the sub to get all of the DLCs, more than doubling the size of the game. Well, it used to be that you could sub to get all the DLCs. Now they're selling a pass with the sub, with the base game. It's as confusing as it sounds. And while the sub is optional, inventory management is incredibly difficult without it. And as you would expect, a lot of the coolest items and the best gear in the game are tucked away into the game's expansion content, so it is worth diving into if you find yourself enjoying the base game. Just don't go into Elder Scrolls Online expecting it to be Skyrim. Combat, leveling, and classes, as well as many other systems in the game, are designed to help ESO fit into the MMO mold. But that's not to say it doesn't do a good job of being a fun Elder Scrolls game. Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 just hits different. Between its unique questing, its meta events, and its amazing mounts, Guild Wars offers a fantastic solo experience. Guild Wars 2 is yet another MMO with a heavy focus on the story it tells. Fairly unique to Guild Wars 2 is that not only are the characters around you voice acted, but your character is voice acted as well. Guild Wars 2 has some of the most fun single-player zone exploration of all the MMOs on the list. It's got jumping puzzles that you can solve to get some amazing loot. It's got zone completion checklists that are actually incredibly rewarding, as they will provide you points for upgrading both your character and your mount. But before you're fully able to enjoy the mounts and the gliding system, you are going to have to finally purchase that expansion, which is fair because this game does have an amazing free trial that lets you play all the way through the base game for free. As a player without friends or as a solo player, you're going to easily be able to solo your way through the entire story of Guild Wars 2, and you won't be forced to do any group content. And while you're doing that, if you do happen to see one of these meta events going on where 100 players are meeting up to take down massive bosses, definitely jump in there. You don't even have to talk to anyone, just join the fight. They're a lot of fun and they're quite the spectacle. Like I touched on, the first 80 levels and over 200 hours of content are completely free, so jump in and try it if you haven't yet. It's an amazing game. There's no sub in this one, not even a quote-unquote optional sub, but you will have to buy the expansion content if you want to play it after you hit level 80. If you enjoy what MMOs used to be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, as I've got loads more MMO content on the way. Thank you. Old school RuneScape. Old school graphics, old school leveling, old school RuneScape. This is a sandbox MMO where you can sign in and do anything, anytime. If you're not a fan of following a linear questline through an MMO, or your aging computer has less computing power than your new toaster, this is probably the perfect MMO for you. That's not to say there aren't quests, as there are over 150 story-driven quest lines in old school RuneScape. You can focus on skilling, which is basically improving your character's various different skills. If you want to be better at something, have your character do that thing a lot. And eventually it will level that skill up over and over the more you use that skill. This is the most classic feeling MMO on the list today, as RuneScape was originally released in 2001. Thanks to its old age and the fact that it runs on a toaster, this MMO can be even played on your phone. Because of these very low device requirements and the slower nature of this game in general, this is a game that almost anybody can play, and it owes a lot of its success to that. You can group up with others, or you can choose to go it alone. Almost all of this game is soloable if you really want to go that route. Old school RuneScape is free to try, but if you enjoy it, you are going to have to buy its subscription, which it calls a RuneScape bond, if you want to continue progressing. World of Warcraft, currently battling for the position of most popular MMO in the world with old school RuneScape, is World of Warcraft. For a long time, World of Warcraft was the uncontested king of the MMO sphere, dwarfing its competition in terms of its player count, but those days are gone. In recent years, we've seen other MMOs like Final Fantasy XIV and old school RuneScape nab the #1 spot from World of Warcraft, if only briefly. Now I know some of you might be thinking WoW is a terrible solo game, but hear me out. You can solo level to max level without issue in World of Warcraft. You can solo old dungeons, and there are loads of them. You can solo old raids and get some of the best cosmetics in the game, and there are tons of those as well. You can even solo the delves in the newest expansion and get some of the best gear in the game as a solo player. WoW has increasingly become a more solo-focused game. World of Warcraft's last expansion, The War Within, was received well, though its introduction of $90 mounts has reminded fans how much World of Warcraft has changed since its early days. World of Warcraft also added a one-button rotation, making it perhaps one of the easiest MMOs on the market to play. World of Warcraft has over 2 decades of content, with all but the most recent being very soloable, including its dungeons and raids, as we mentioned. And as I said, soloing those old raids is insanely rewarding, as that's where you'll be able to get some of the game's best cosmetics. Sadly, the overarching story of World of Warcraft is rather difficult to digest for a new player these days, as the devs have made it their mission to rush players to max level. Still, while the story is now a fractured mess, WoW beats all other MMOs hands down when it comes to its massive, seamless open world for you to explore, with thousands of quests and hundreds of collectibles to farm. You can fly from one end of a continent to another without hitting a zone wall, which is strangely something that modern MMOs are forgetting how to do. And if you do jump into WoW without any friends, it's still very easy to jump into group content thanks to WoW's Dungeon Finder and Raid Finder, which can automatically toss you into groups for either activity. But don't worry, for those of you that really don't want to do anything with anybody else, they do let you run a lot of the newer dungeons with a group of NPCs. Retail WoW does have a free trial, but it's very brief, limiting you to 20 levels, which is going to take you maybe a couple of hours to get through, maybe 3 or 4 if it's your first time. After that, you're going to have to purchase both the game and a subscription to continue playing it. Star Wars: The Old Republic. If Disney hasn't burned you out on Star Wars yet, then this might be the MMO for you. You can play through the entire story as a solo player, and it's worth mentioning, in Star Wars, each class has its own storyline, and each storyline has 3 different possible endings. The choices that you make as you play through the game are going to determine the ending that you earn. When you ask a Star Wars player what their favorite part of the game is, it's usually the really well fleshed out class stories. Star Wars: The Old Republic is now a free-to-play MMO with an optional sub. And if you sub for just 1 month, that optional sub will unlock all of the content in the game, even if you cancel the sub. This is another MMO where I would say questing is too easy, so you're going to be doing it for the story as opposed to doing it for the engaging combat. Star Wars: The Old Republic has had a rough go of it in recent years, with it being handed off from its original developer to a new one. Regardless, the solo story content that's been there from the beginning is excellent and definitely worth enjoying if you're itching to dive into a good Star Wars story. Do you like PvP MMOs with a questionable amount of pay to win? Well, Black Desert Online is perfect for the solo player because it's an MMO that was actually designed to be played solo. While it does technically have group content, it's few and far between when compared to other MMOs. The massive, seamless world gives a solo player a lot to explore, and the game has fishing that you can do solo, and it's got loads of grinding spots that you can run out to and farm mobs completely solo. This is perfect for someone who just prefers to go to a spot and post up and grind out mobs for hours at a time. BDO is known for its flashy combat and open world PvP, though hardcore PvPers lament how many restrictions there are to the open world PvP systems. If you die in open world PvP, the punishment is next to nothing, so it's not a big deal. All you have to do is run back to where you died and continue grinding, if the other person hasn't taken your spot. While BDO is a gorgeous MMO with a decent enough story, it's most commonly praised for the look and feel of its combat. You can even play BDO on mobile, but that is a different version of the game tailored to mobile devices, and it's not cross-platform, so you're not going to be able to play your PC character on your phone. The gear upgrade system is built around gambling and is often the thing that players complain about when it comes to BDO. And it's no surprise that this is where pay to win rears its ugly head. The game is currently buy to play with not 1, but 3 optional monthly subscriptions. Yikes. If you buy all 3, you're looking at about $40 a month in subscription fees. That's insane. But those are not required to play the game as a solo player. Have you ever thought to yourself, I could have done a better job than Frodo or Samwise? Well, then maybe this is the MMO for you. In this game, you'll play as a character that finds out about the Fellowship and then does what you can to help clear the path for the Fellowship that is trying to destroy the ring. So you're not going to be playing as Frodo, but you are going to be trying to help Frodo and his gang. This game does have group content, but finding a group to do that content with can be hit or miss, which as a solo player really wouldn't affect you that much. The game has a solid crafting system so that you can level up and improve your gear by crafting it yourself if you'd like to go that route, and you can play a huge chunk of this game for free. And it even lets you earn a bit of the cash shop currency simply by playing the game. One really unique and interesting feature that Lord of the Rings has going for it is that it lets you choose the difficulty of the overworld content. So if you'd like your combat to be engaging and maybe even a little bit difficult, you can bump the difficulty up. If you just want to focus on enjoying the story, then you can bump the difficulty down to speed things up. The game has a massive open world for you to explore, and it's definitely going to hit that Lord of the Rings nostalgia bone for you. It's not the most popular MMO in the world today, but there's a solid base of players that are still enjoying this MMO today, enough so to make you feel like you're not alone while you're playing your MMO alone. New World. Now, New World has struggled to put out a continued dose of group content that keeps endgame players engaged, which has definitely done a number on its player base size. However, this hasn't hurt the solo experience. In fact, AGS has spent the last couple of years refining and re-refining the solo experience at the expense of the multiplayer experience. The questing has been filled out a lot since the game's initial launch, with every patch since its launch being aimed at improving the solo experience. They even went so far as to make group content more optional, making this struggling MMO perfect for the solo player. Where New World really stands out is its open world exploration and its crafting and gathering systems. Inspired Inspired by gathering systems like those in old school RuneScape where you level them up by doing them, you can go out to the mountains and mine to level up your mining and get better materials. You can chop down trees in the forest to level up your wood chopping, or you can sit down next to a beautiful lake and fish to level up your fishing. This is a fantastic game for relaxing solo content that you can chip away at whenever you have the itch because there's no subscription. So you're never going to feel bad about playing it for a week and then setting it down for a week and then coming back for another week. The game features pretty simple but satisfying action combat that's easy to learn and hard to master. So if you want to explore a gorgeous, open, seamless world and level your gathering professions so that you can craft yourself better gear, then New World could be the perfect MMO for you to solo your way through. While it seems totally contrary to the point of an MMO, soloing is what we usually find ourselves doing in MMOs these days. The MMO landscape changed a lot over the years. More and more content is built specifically for the solo player, and less content is built for the group player. So it's a bit of chicken and the egg. Did we change MMOs, or did the MMOs change us? How has that affected your view of the solo content? Do you think that's a good or bad thing for the genre? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to feature some of the most upvoted responses in a future video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more MMO content. A massive shout out to my channel members. Click the join button below for more information on how to become a member and support the channel. Oh, and I forgot to ask, what are you gonna do next? Maybe check out one of these videos that's popping up on screen right now.